Hello, gentle viewers. This is Guardian welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 24 with the Oakland Athletics. In our previous episode, we concluded another off season where a lot of things changed. We were very busy this off season, hopefully for the better, possibly for the worse. Let's find out. If you're saying, wait a minute, I'm seeing a lot of players I've never seen before, you're not missing much. Raheem Sinius was a minor league free agent that we acquired. Mr. Sinius looks like he's going to be a fantastic force at the top of the lineup with lots of good on base percentage and a pretty solid glove in right field. Mike Jacober, was acquired in a trade and hopefully can help stabilize our designated hitter position, which we've had a little bit of problem producing significant offense with. Cam Collier was our quote unquote big ticket item, wanting to stabilize third base for a season. As Robbie Herbertson is on the way out, to let Nelson Vigil continue to develop in the minor leagues. And lastly, Dan Bizey, who has been a part of our team for a while now, drafted in the 14th round, of course, is finally going to get a chance to play shortstop every day. And we'll see how that works out. The rotation is a lot of old friends, plus new guy Steve Peralta. Mr. Peralta was another trade acquisition. I'd intended to put him in the bullpen, but it looks like the team wants him to start, and I'm willing to give him that opportunity. Note that he is a competent hitter, so there's some flexibility there. Beyond that, Stoll, R.J. Edwards, Wilfredo Rivera, and Yedelson Divini are all long-running aces at this point. We're going to see what they can accomplish. Our best and brightest young star, Mike Ellie, is going to miss the entire season. But we're hopeful that he'll come back ready to go next season and truly dominate. Our bullpen is more or less the same as we've had recently. The new guy is Mort King. Mr. King was a Rule 5 draft pick a season ago, but he's got a little bit of a bigger role this year. We also have Rogelio Morales, who will almost certainly get put on the team as soon as he is healthy. So, a couple things I wanted to talk about before we actually started diving into this particular game. One of the things I want to try to do over the course of either this season or next season is start to identify players we desperately want and then trade some of our prospect surplus. I keep prospects for too long. And instead of using them to get really good players right now, I tend to hold on to them until they've lost all possible value. There's not much I can do about that right now, but it is something that I am aware of and something that I know I'm going to have to make some strides for. I think trading Josh Lynch would be a good way to start off this season. Now, before I make that trade, what are we looking for? We have a very, very old second base, third base combination. And while I've got the heir apparent at third base and Nelson Vigil, I don't feel great about our second base scenarios. Although Juan Pineda is a brilliant defender, I don't know how good he's going to be offensively. And I definitely don't want Jesus Pereira as our starting second baseman. So if we can get a decent second baseman, that is a definite possibility. Do you have Jeff Cleveland, who's at least a decent defender and a competent offensive player? Mr. Cleveland could be the answer at some point. I'm going to go ahead and trade Josh Lynch, though, and see if we can't get ourselves a middle infielder. Definitely don't want a veteran. I don't want to take on a bunch of salary unless it's a really great player. But I've already got an expensive guy at second, so I'd rather get somebody cheaper. We'll look at regulars and prospects and see if we can acquire it, and it's really very little. Yeah, there is nothing of interest here. If I just look at all positions, does it get any better? They really want to be rid of Jim Salazar. I don't think so. Nope. Nope. Mm-mm. We'll hang on to him, and see if we can maybe package him a little bit later on in the season. Let's check the waiver wire. I haven't been checking this of late, and it could be that there's the answer to most of my problems, or just some of my problems. Waiting on the waiver wire. Pat Howard is an interesting player. I don't know what I'd do with him though. Like he's certainly not the worst player I've ever seen. I'm just not convinced that he's got a huge amount of upside to him. Any infielders? Eh, eh, eh. I'm not seeing very much. Let's just go ahead and start the season. Let's play some games and see where we're at in a couple of months, and we can maybe make a move or two then. I wouldn't mind a really good hitter because I'm not at all convinced that Mike Jacober is the solution to anybody's problem. Um, I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to give him an opportunity, and I don't have an obvious fit to play in his place, so we'll figure it out for right now. We'll just see if he can make some moves. I do have lots of extra money, so it's just a question of finding somebody of note. I mean, there is Tucker Tillman, but I don't really feel like getting involved in that. I guess my question is, what value is there in keeping Barrera over Pineda? I guess like Pineda could still get better. I guess that makes sense. We can let him develop a little bit farther. Tila Chandler, not too shabby. Tyreek Abelard. Any changes to the pitching staff? I think Andy Daly is probably going to get sent to the minors as soon as the other guy's healthy. So that's something to look forward to. Let's go ahead and simulate some baseball time and see if we can't make a run. Oh, one thing I've given some thought about. I think we're going to stop at 25 seasons with the A's. Um, I just think we're getting to the point where there's not very much left to do. And I think it'd be a lot more fun to try a new team or something to that effect. I really want to try to do an expansion franchise. That might be my next plan. Is either force expansion or just wait until there is expansion and then go from there. Good for Juan Pineda. I'm still seeing a lot of people. I'm seeing the word drop a lot, which isn't great. It is not great. Mike Fuller is getting better. He's playing his way into a potential role, perhaps. Vicente Morales is getting better, but he's also a long ways away from the major league. Let's zip through April, just like that. We're off to a reasonably good start. But I definitely like us to be a lot more consistent. I mean, we just swept the Reds, so. Elbow inflammation is not great. Let's put you on the injured list. Probably Sergio Portner, I'm thinking, is going to get called up. Let's do it. Dusty Flanagan is going to be an interesting choice for us to make in the near future here. Um, we'll see how that works out. All right. But I really like the idea of taking over an expansion franchise and just making it our own. That could be quite cool. Now, I cannot help but notice that Ishmael Alanis is one of the best players in the majors. I think we probably shouldn't count on that. Just throwing that out there. Um, Nothing too wild happening here. Not near as many pluses as I would like to see. I'd like to see all of the pluses, but alas. Like there is a 0% chance we bring back Alanis. Like I'm not gonna do it because he's just not a great risk. And unless he's going to come back for a lot less money, I don't think it makes sense to keep a 37-year-old um, when I could probably get certainly cheaper and younger, if not necessarily better. Um, we killed John Fisher. Fucking finally. He wants me to keep Alanis though. What do you think, John Fisher Jr.? Are you still a giant asshole? He is controlling. Okay. How much money does Mr. Alanis want for like another 1 or 2 years? He wants to get paid a lot of money. I'm not willing to pay him that much. It's gonna make the new owner mad, but I would give him a 3-year deal actually. Because it's still have a lot of extra money. So if he'll take a 3-year deal, um, with two team options, and I will happily give him that option. But that's all I'm willing to do. Um, I've got to get that protection. Yeah, he really wants 3 guaranteed years, and I'm not going to give that to him. I'll give him 1 year at the end of the year, but I'm not going to give him 3 years. I think that's silly. Um, okay, we get Bardales back. Andy Daly is going to go to the minors, I think. Bardales returns. Josh Losey's not that interesting. So I'm not gonna make this deal. Reject. 300 homers for Sean DeWitt. That's pretty exciting news. I like that. Damn, we just got split by the fucking Pirates. That's kind of lame. Some nice changes here. Nelson Vigil's eye is improving. He's getting incrementally better, but he's not really breaking out, which I was kind of hoping for. Um, John Joseph. I have a lot of mid-tier catchers, don't I? Hmm. Hmm. All right, let's take a look at how the season is going and figure out what, if anything, we want to change. We have the best offense in the league and the second best pitching staff, so the answer may very well be nothing. Who is performing the best and who's performing the worst on this club right now? Raheem Sinius is getting on base. Excuse me. He is doing his job. Brad Rice equally is performing at a reasonably good level. I'd like his on base percentage to be even higher, but he is achieving what we need him to achieve. DeWitt is amazing, so is Alani's. Jacober looks pretty solid too. He's having a nice little season for us. Ben Schmidt continues to be frustrating. A guy with this much pop should not be hitting 0 home runs. That's deeply concerning. And it's going to really hamper his future value if he isn't able to hit more consistently. Cam Collier is fine. He's playing defense at a pretty high level, and he is at least a shy under league average. But he was only really brought here to play for 1 year, and we're just going to opt out of his contract anyway. Mr. Danman here is actually performing pretty well. He's actually hitting very, very well. And his defense looks mighty good. So far, Mr. Bays here is performing well. Sean Mintz, I think we just have to accept the fact he's always going to be like a mid-tier hitter, but his defense is going to make him valuable to us because he actually has been pretty successful. Pitching wise, it's kind of all over the place. RJ Edwards is struggling a bit. It looks like he's cut his walks down drastically, but he's just getting hit a little bit harder this season for it. He's actually not getting hit that hard. He's just been a little bit unlucky. Oh, his home runs have gone up. That could be the issue. Yedleston Divini is basically a league average starting pitcher. That's not really what I wanted when I signed him to the contract I did, but it's fine. Juan Bardales hasn't pitched all that much. I'm not going to overreact to him. Mr. Pamphile has been exceptional, but has actually lost a little bit. He decided to start walking people and stop striking them out. Hopefully that will fix itself, and our bullpen will be what it needs to be. Overall, like, there's definitely places we could get better. However, I think the most likely improvement for now is going to come from within. Unless we decided just to say trade Cam Collier and call up Dusty Flanagan. That is a possibility. I don't think there's going to be too much demand for his services. I'm going to go ahead and put him on the block for now and see if we get any movement there. But I think for right now, the best thing we can do is hope that Ben Schmidt pulls out of this early season hole, and then we can figure out the rest of things. The other thing we could potentially do is try to find an elite corner outfielder. Okay. I like to look at players who are left or right fielders that have at least a 65 overall. And search. Josh Norton is pretty solid, but I don't like his injury history, and he actually hasn't produced that well. Um, unless we could get him for fairly cheap. Jim Olson is out of our price range, even though I think he'd make a very fine addition to the club. I don't see us getting him without paying a lot. We can try, but I don't see it happening. What if I offered you Edgar Ibarra? It doesn't move the needle at all, nor should it. An amazing player like that, you don't want to give him up too early. Clay Freeman is a pretty incredible player. And I can, in point of fact, eat his salary. That's no, I can't actually. I literally cannot afford that. Not for 70 million a year. Try again. Um, Juan Rivera would be pretty good actually. What Juan Rivera would cost me? Oh, you just don't want to be traded at all. Well, fuck you too then. Mike June is a little average for the amount of money he's gonna want. Hugh Kelleher is pretty decent. I probably can't afford him though. Like you're gonna want pretty good stuff for me to make that deal, so that's a non-starter. I could trade for Sean DeWitt. He'd be a perfect fit. Oh wait a minute. Um, like there's some really great outfielders out there, but I'm just not able to get any of them. Like there's no way that Tampa would give up, say, Michael Chavis Jr. Like it's just not gonna happen. And it would take two incredibly critical pieces to our future in order to make that deal. What if I could get Sam Laws? He's a really good all around player, and he's signed for a very club friendly deal. What would it take to acquire you? Yes, please. I will happily give you Julio Lerma for Sam Laws. That's an incredibly easy deal for me to make. Now the question becomes, how do we make room for him? I'm gonna trade Ben Schmidt for a prospect and see if I can get a good one for him. I can get some average ones. Um, Ernesto Castaneda is actually pretty terrible. Jesus Rojas isn't terrible, but he's not good either. If I can get Joe Stock and Camarena, I will make this deal. Can I get you to throw in another prospect, perhaps? Estrella wouldn't be a terrible choice, but you're not going to give him up without asking for something that I'm not ready to give up. Mike Baines isn't that interesting. I'd actually like Josh Englert if he were a little bit better with the glove. I'm just gonna make this deal. It was worth it. Ben Schmidt is not as good as Sam Laws. He just isn't as good. And now we have a significantly upgraded offense with another star who gets on base, he hits home runs. What's not to love? I ask you, what is not to love about Sam Laws? And his contract is extremely reasonable. Having said that, there's always a possibility that Mr. Laws chooses to opt out of his contract. But if he doesn't, we'll have an excellent player for a very reasonable salary. I feel really good about that. Let's check in with Mr. Olanis. I would even consider giving you 30 million, but I need that team option. No, he's really stuck on that guaranteed year. I think it's financial malpractice to do something like that. I genuinely think that's a terrible idea to invest that heavily in a player that's already in his late 30s. Hopefully, I bought some goodwill with the new boss. You would like to come back. Let's talk at the end of the year. Not saying yes, not saying no, just saying maybe. Here we go. Let's string together some victories. That's always a great sign. You know what would be an amazing boon to our team this year if I got an email that said that Mike Ellie's healing faster? That would be pretty dope. That'd be really dope. Okay. Let's talk people. Okay. We're still merely content. Is there anybody that we can let walk that would actually make a legitimate difference? So the two people that are up are Deck McGuire and Skip Shoemaker. Skip Shoemaker is a cantankerous bastard. He doesn't get along with easygoing people, but he does get along well with temperamental. We need to find something else, I think. So I do think letting him go could improve the team's chemistry. Not to mention, I mean, he is a really good coach, though. He's a really good coach. I'm going to definitely rehire McGuire. I think he's done a great job for us as a scouting director, and I'd like to keep him around. I think we let Shoemaker go. That's what I think we do. I think we let Shoemaker leave and we find a new replacement. So switch back to the personnel screen. I want to go ahead and offer all the other people. So 5 people want to chat. My problem with Levi Romero is I've got really, really good pitching coaches that are in the minors below him. I think he's reached his ceiling. I don't see him getting too much better, so I think we're gonna go ahead and let him leave. Jose Perez is a really, really good coach. I would like to keep him around as a potential um, base coach at some point. Roman Gonzalez is fantastic and has definitely earned himself an extension. Ben Johnson, also incredible. We have a really good core of coaches. It's just a matter of us identifying them and keeping them so that we don't lose them. So Skip Shoemaker's going to walk. Who's going to replace him? Could be Barrett Aston. Um, Potentially, but we'll see. We will see. He's also so old he might retire anyway. All right. What is going well for us so far? Sam Laws is struggling. That being said, it's going to take him time to get used to a new team. I'm willing to give him that rope to figure it out. Jacober, Rice have been great. Collier has been decent. Mintz is even improving a bit. And then we have Mr. Bays here, who's proving to be a pretty solid shortstop. Pitching staff, Davini is struggling. Bardalis is still struggling. He hasn't pitched all that much either. The team as is pretty strong. I don't really think we need to make any major. Uh-oh. Why did Nelson Vigil lose a lot of his potential randomly? Like, I get it that he's actually adding to his overall rating, which is nice, but I was hoping for him to be elite potential. I don't want to rush him at all, but I do think next season he's going to be the Oakland starting third baseman. He's proven all he can prove in the minor leagues. I'm not going to trade Collier, I don't think, unless I could get a decent prospect for him. It's worth asking the question if we go ahead and just let Vigil play, or if we let Mr. Vigil continue to develop in AAA. But I mean, he is playing at a very high level in AAA. And he's hit every other season except for last year in the minors. So, what could I get for Cam Collier? Is there somebody that is desperate for a third baseman that might be willing to give me an interesting prospect for him? No. I could add Dave McCormick, which is not the worst idea, but definitely not a good idea. So we'll just opt out of his contract at the end of the year. The owner wants me to keep Alanis, and I'll be honest, he's playing out of his fucking mind. And he is 37. Would you just give me the damn team option? That's all I'm asking for. Give me a team option and I will re-sign you. No, he doesn't want the team option. He's not even meeting me halfway, which is what I find extremely frustrating. Um, if I drop that year two salary, but then I'm basically trapped with him for 3 years. And if he's playing at a high level, he's worth it. But the thing is, I don't think he will play at that high a level. Um, this is such a dumb idea. Right? Like, he's obviously a 5-win player, then he's worth it, but he's 39, he's going to be 39 years old. Nye wants 4 years. I can't do it. I can't. I know it's going to make the owner cranky, but he's just going to have to get over it because I'm not going to commit that much money to a player that's already that old. Um, how long are you out? Oh, you're not out at all. Who made it from Oakland? Oh, it's a prospects roster. Nelson Vigil made it, and that's it for Oakland. Hey, Bobby Stoll, Rogelio Morales both make it. Ishmael Alanis makes it. Sean DeWitt makes it. Raheem Sinius makes it. Very nice. I think that's it. which is pretty good. I mean, we're having a really good season, so I'm not that annoyed by it. Um, yeah, Sinis wants to get paid lots and lots of money. I don't know that I'm willing to give him that much money, but we'll see. Draft time. What do we need most? We'll figure it out. I have to take best player available. Um, because our draft position is so shitty. So I can't get too frazzled about one particular player or another. Nobody here besides Zeri and Dennis is ready to hit the big leagues running, so let us auto draft. Okay, there's a bunch of really good starting pitchers available, a center fielder, and a catcher. Let's start with looking at the center fielder. Josh Tukes is a legitimate good choice. He's got a pretty good class of offensive tools. He's a good enough player to stick in center, which we've actually needed for quite some time. I think he's a really good choice. I'm going to look at the others so I don't get blinded, but I do think Tooks is going to be our choice. If he develops this way, he's going to be a starting caliber center fielder or an all star caliber corner outfielder. Kevin Scheibele isn't that interesting. He's just another catcher with a big home run bat. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not what I'm looking for. Max Sheffield would be a better pitcher if he threw a little bit harder, but he's got some good stuff here. Henderson's a pretty good pitcher. Rami Chan, as he likes to be called. McAllister. McAllister's really good. David McFeely is really good. I just think Tukes fits our needs and helps us shore up a position that we don't have a ton of help at. So I think we're going to go ahead and take him. I was hoping one of these guys might be available. Now, sadly, it's Max Sheffield, who I like the least of the big name starters. I do need a third baseman. I have a really weak third base system here, but Josh Sheffield is not a good third baseman. He would be an average one at best, and I don't like risking him not working out. Bobby David's not much better. Mike Darris, I could certainly be persuaded into taking. I feel like I'm being unfair to Sheffield. Maxi here, because the one thing I don't like about him is the fact he doesn't throw it very hard, but he's also left-handed. I think he's too good a prospect, and all it'll cost us is money. So I really think it makes a ton of sense to go ahead and select him. I want to grab a third baseman, and Bobby David's as good as any. So I think we're going to go ahead and make that pick. We're going to go ahead and draft Bobby David. Look, Kevin Scheibele just keeps slipping. I'm going to go ahead and take him at this point. And we're going to see how he turns out. Zarian Dennis, if we drafted him, instantly becomes somebody I would consider. However, no. He should not be a junk baller, and the fact he is a junk baller gives me some concern. TJ Carranza's not terrible, but I've got loads of catchers in the organization. What about middle infielders? What's Tim Gaffney's deal? Tim Gaffney is a reasonably competent offensive player with a reasonable defensive skill set. I think that's a very solid choice. Look at Dan Bergman first, though. Bergman is better offensively, but he's not as good defensively. So I do think that Gaffney is our choice. Let's draw up our middle infield ranks. Bergman is still around. As is Colt Conroy. He's actually a really good third baseman, but I actually do want to take Bergman. He's such a good all-around hitter that if he improves at all, I think he's going to be a standout second baseman. At this point, I will take Zeri and Dennis and see if he can learn how to add some heat to his fastball. Joe Frank is fine. Eric Adams is really good. I'm going to take Eric Adams. Done. And I think at this point, I'm going to go ahead and let my scouting director finish the draft. And then we're going to offer some extensions. We're paying a lot of money for Max Sheffield. I think he's likely to work out. I think he's actually highly likely to work out. But we'll see. What really matters is that we don't instantly lose potential as soon as they enter our system. I think that's been our biggest issue. Is Jeff McCabe worth 720 grand? He's not terrible. He's a big guy, so he'll probably learn how to throw harder. And he's got a nice cutter. I know that doesn't really matter, but in real life, you want your left-handers to have really nice, sharp breaking pitches to deal with righties. And cutters are a really good choice. No. I mean, I'm glad that it's expired because I wasn't going to do that anyway. Oh, Sean DeWitt won the home run challenge. Nice. Good news, everyone. I'm a horse's butt. I am. Well, that's not good news at all. I just don't see the benefit to getting an old reliever. It's like Eric Dunlap was all that special, but I don't see why I want an old reliever. I truly don't see it. Nelson Vigil just casually for the cycle. I think we need to get him up in the majors. Anybody want Cam Collier now? No, it's mediocre pitchers being offered. I don't think that's very smart. I just don't think it makes sense. Especially since Collier is having an okay year. I don't want to get rid of him when we could. Yeah, I don't think that makes sense. What might make sense though is talking to Alani's one last time. Let me have the fucking player option, and I will sign you right now. What about just a flat 1 year deal? No, it's not a lower offer. It's you're being unreasonable. Pamphile, I just gave you a big money contract to be my reliever for years to come. You're not allowed to get worse. That's against the rules. I don't need mediocre relievers. I just don't. Oh, Caleb Sellers got traded. Eh. Yeah, you have lost your fucking mind. Nelson Vigil isn't going anywhere. Poor Santiago Luna. All right. Whose contract is up at this? Whose contract is coming up? Kinius and Alani's are both coming up at the end of this season. I'm gonna opt out of Collier's deal. Bobby Stoll could opt out. That would be very interesting if he did. I'd have to really make some adjustments on the fly. Um, I'm just really sad about Alani's being so stubborn right now. I just can't afford to give an older player that much money without some way of getting out of it if things go badly wrong. I hate to be that guy, but that's just where we are right now. Hmm. I'm not going to trade Alanis. That much I'm not going to do. He's been a great player this season, and trading him would probably crush a lot of our fan base. I guess the question is, well, let's look at the trade block before I defiantly or definitely say one way or the other that no, I'm not going to trade, or yes, I am going to trade. Joe O'Hanlon be a really good second baseman, but not at that price. I gotta be honest with you, game. I'm not really seeing anything here that leaps to mind as a genuine improvement over what we've already got. Okay, Chris Bork back is having an awful season. Mm. Oh, I know how I could trade Cam Collier. I don't know why I didn't think of this. Wait, why are you... Oh, because he's old as shit now. Yeah. I know what I can do. I'm going to eat his entire salary. That should make him a far more attractive player, and if I can get a decent prospect or two for him, I'll happily eat it to call up Nelson Vigil. Now we're getting some offers. They're not amazing offers, but we are getting offers. And I think we found a guy. I think Edgar Vargas would be a very nice addition to this club. Done. I know it's not the best deal, but I'm not likely to get like unless I get like Bobby Sinelli, which I don't know why he doesn't have a job anyway. Nah, asking for Sinelli was a bridge too far, and I understand that. I'm just gonna make the deal. This is about opening up a roster spot for an elite level player who's hurt. I guess it's Dusty Flanagan's show until Nelson Vigil. Oh, he's day to day. So I could call him up. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let Dusty Flanagan cover third for a week. And then we're going to call up Vigil as soon as he's healthy. I'm going to go ahead and finish this trade deadline. Um, I can always re-sign Alanis in free agency. That is an option available to me. Because I don't think he's worth what he thinks he's worth. Oh, it's Chris McDevitt. Has had an amazing season. Oh, good for him. I'm not saying I wouldn't extend your contract, but I'm not going to pay you $20 million. That's ridiculous. Like, I know you were an all-star this year. I know you were actually a pretty talented player, but I'm not going to pay 20 million for that. Um, it ain't gonna happen, mate. Youch. So he's gonna be out for a very long time. Dusty Flanagan, I hope you enjoyed your cup of coffee in the majors because Nelson Vigil is healthy, so which means he goes to the majors now. How long are you out? We don't know. That's fine. I do need a new starting pitcher. I guess we go with Zarlin Dennis. He's certainly not terrible. He's a junk baller, but that doesn't make him poorly suited to just give us some starts here and there. Maybe see if somebody else can take a step forward. Is that Chris Allen? It is Chris Allen. He's still pitching. What a guy. Are there any free agent starters? I wonder. I mean, Nate saw one isn't terribly exciting, but I guess that is a choice we could make. Um, Andy Gregg is out day to day 3 to 4 weeks. He's not playing that frequently, so I don't really care. I sort of got it. Trading Cam Collier is what fucks us out of getting a number 1 seed. I'm gonna feel pretty salty. Like, I know you offered all this leadership, etc., but we needed the better, younger player to get a chance to show what he could do. Um, Sean DeWitt's no longer top 3 in terms of WAR, which isn't great. Ken Armstrong's getting better. That's cool. That's pretty cool. Um, and I'm also gonna use Kaya and Vargas. Or give them all a chance to maybe get some innings here and there and try to keep the team healthy. Maybe. Potentially. Um it looks like trading Cam Collier might have been a mistake. Like, I don't know if like our chemistry's starting to go in the toilet. We've got captains, so I don't know why it would make that big a difference, but maybe it did. Maybe I made a mistake that'll cost us in the long run here. It is possible. Look, Corwin's AL West is getting the first round bye, which I think is makes it critical that we be able to fight for it. Um, and win when we need to. But no, the Mariners have already clinched the spot. And I'm pretty sure the winner of the AL East is going to get the other bye. I don't think we have a chance. Maybe we do, but I don't think we have one. Poor McDevitt. I do feel bad for him. Nelson Vigil's improving his potential, which is fantastic. I'd like him to improve his current skill, but I'm not opposed to him improving his potential. Not in the slightest. Oh, we're nearly at the end of the regular season. I guess he's played at the end of the regular season, and then we'll move people around and so forth. And finish today. 92 and 70 isn't bad. I'm not going to complain about that. Playoff roster. Who are we leaving off the playoff roster? Anyanwu had a pretty good season, and I think we're gonna go ahead and remove Mojica from the playoff roster, and we're gonna add on Wanyu. I think he's more useful to us. As for the rest of it, I'm fine. I think for the as for the rest of it goes, I think this makes sense. Um, let's hope things go well for us. A victory, an excellent start. Less excellent. And we just got defeated. Damn. Like there's literally nothing I can use as a conclusion as saying yes, this is why we failed. It's too short a series. 3 games is a very short series. We did get substantially worse in pitching as the season progressed, though. Probably losing Wilfredo Rivera didn't help because Wilfredo Rivera actually had a pretty good season for us. Defensively, looks like we also struggle a little bit, but let's go ahead and end the playoffs. We were a good team this year. I'm not going to get too fussed about how we ended it, but I think we're also in a very good position come future time. Um wow, the Yankees and Dodgers. Who doesn't want to see them in the World Series? Sean DeWitt has an outside shot at MVP. It'd be really cool if he could get MVP, but I don't think he's going to make it. Clay Freeman did make the playoffs, but Andres Montes did. And yeah. Okay, Bobby Stoll did not opt out, which is good news. I appreciate that. All right, let's look at our owner goals. He's given us a bunch of more stuff. Okay, so what went well this season? Who were the big performers that really made a big difference in our success? Sean DeWitt was once again fantastic. He led the league in runs at 43 home runs. I don't think he's a guarantee yet, but he is getting close to slam dunk Hall of Fame territory. If he can take home an MVP this season, that would help a lot. Because right now we've had a Rookie of the Year, 4 Gold Gloves, 7-time All Star, 2-time Silver Slugger. I'd love to see him take home an MVP. Ishmael Alanis is one of the best trades we've ever made. We got 10 wins out of an amazing player for pennies on the dollar. And while it's sad we're not going to keep him, the fact is we're not going to keep him. Unless I can get that team option, which he's not going to go for. So we're going to let him test free agency and maybe see about bringing in somebody new. I like Sam Laws a lot. And at the end, he did turn in a pretty damn good season for Oakland. So it's all going to come down to can he keep building on it and keep having great seasons. But I do think he was a very nice acquisition. Raheem Sinius was perhaps the biggest surprise of the season. But I'm not going to get tricked into paying him a bunch of money either. I think that's very, very silly. Very, very silly. Mike Jacober was decent. Dan Bass was a pleasant surprise. Very pleasant surprise. One of the better starters, I think, at the shortstop position. An off chance of maybe coming with a gold glove. Regardless, a pretty good season from him. Sean Mintz was decent. Andy Gregg was good. Nelson Mitchell hasn't gotten to perform yet, but that's going to be a big deal. I think Jesus Barrera, we have to find a replacement for him. He's such a terrible hitter that any defensive capabilities he has are just completely swallowed up. Looks like Ken Armstrong became the starting catcher toward the end of the season. That's an interesting decision. I don't know how I feel about that. We lacked secondary, we lacked depth once again. It gets very, very low very, very quickly beyond the top three, or possibly the top four, with Sinius also having an excellent season. What about the pitching staff? Stoll and Edwards were great. Pamphile was pedestrian. This is a huge concern. His walk rate spiked, and his strikeout rate fell, and he gave up more home runs. This is concerning. Hopefully he can put it back together, have a nice season. The pitching staff was mostly fine. I do think at the end there we badly missed Wilfredo Rivera. We had a pretty decent season. And also Mike Ellie. If we can get him back next season at full strength, what I think ended up being a bit of a weakness is going to end up being one of our biggest strengths. Because by the end of the season, our starters were not good enough. Peralta was not great. Davini was average. Dennis was bleh. We really struggled come playoffs to get great pitching performances. And that's something we're going to have to fix. Our defensive efficiency was awful. Who was that terrible? Like, who was holding us back defensively to that degree? Okay, Alanis is pretty bad. I wish we had a top flight center fielder. I wish we did. Because I don't think Sean DeWitt should be starting at center field. Not when I have other players like potentially Ken Laws or Sam Laws who could play center field. No, he cannot play center field. What am I talking about? I would happily trade, like, metaphorically, trade Sinius and Alanis if we could get a great center fielder, and I'll just find a second baseman who can figure it out for a season. I think that's important. Yeah, it's very important. I think Steve Seward's going to get a chance next season. I think he's going to get a chance to at least play in spring training and possibly more. Edgar Ibarra's also got a decent chance to get some reps in. Daly and Vieira, I'm gonna go to remove you both from the. I'm gonna DFA you both, so I can go ahead and add both of you guys to the 38-man roster because I don't want to lose either one of you. Um. Yeah. How is our team chemistry, by the way? It's ecstatic. We have a really good team chemistry, which is excellent news. Apparently, we hate Jorge Mojica, which is whatever. It is difficult for me to sit here and tell you that we had a bad season because we did. We won 92 games. What I think is fair is that we didn't play as well as we could or perhaps should have. But I think I really let the team down in not having starting pitching depth. That is something we don't have anymore, and it is something that for years and years and years and years we prided ourselves on. Now, why didn't we start Brexton May? I don't know. I truly do not understand why we don't start Brexton Ray. Unless it's just he's that good as a reliever, maybe. But my boy here can be a starting pitcher. Like, it is a thing he's capable of doing and capable of doing quite well. Why not on Wanayu? Again, we're just making these strange decisions that he's not worthy of being a starting pitcher. So I think there's secretly more starting pitching than it looks like. Especially if Zarian Dennis ends up being a good pitcher, which he might. Next season, a lot is going to be expected of Nelson Vigil. A lot is expected of Nelson Vigil. Because he's not going to be very good defensively. He's going to make errors. Well, he's got a decent arm. I could shift him over to first base, I guess, over time. But, yeah. I'm going to try one last time to trade Josh Lynch. Like, I'm just not convinced that he is worth keeping at this point. Good old Jethro Specht. It's hard to get excited about Shamar Tuitt or Mike Dennison. Mm. Mm. Nope. I'm just gonna hang on to him. If he is getting close to getting arbitration, I'll just non-tender him. That is gonna end today's episode, though. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please remember to like and subscribe. Until next time, this has been Guardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.